Todd is not only a remarkable, successful 30-year titan in business with having multiple businesses that generate multiplied millions of dollars.
And if that plan happens to be to build $1 million company, which I can help you do.
But he's humble. He's a man of God. He's a family man.
The world's news organizations are built on everything but positivity.
He is an influential entrepreneur and business figure for over 30 years.
I've got to forecast. I've got to pronounce. I've got to project. I've got to share with you my ideas, my vision, my goals for not only myself, but for you.
That's why he's came up with his incredible concept of taking and creating a platform for people that are wired differently.
And you got to understand that your habits of your person and your habits of your business and your habits of your spirituality have to lead to the North Star of who you are. We need to figure out who we want to be in life.
Morning, wake up, everybody around the world. Wake up, it's wired differently. Tyler, it's on like Donkey Kong. We're going to let it rip, potato chip. I know it's early, but come on, let's get up, let's get around, let's get it on. We cannot fail to scale. We can't scale fail. I think that's the title of today. I think you wrote it. I wrote it down. You read it. You're saying, what does that mean? Well, we got to get right to it. I want to give you some news. I want to give you some updates. Thank you guys for all jumping on so early this morning. What a remarkable run we've had. I've got a few things I want to share with you this morning. I had a lot of you followed, were probably on yesterday, and it was an amazing show. Got a lot of compliments on that show. But one of the funniest things that happened during the show was, of course, Abby called me. Now, whenever Abby calls me on this show or I'm interrupted on my cell phone, I immediately take it, because if you remember some of the early shows we did, man, I was learning how to produce my own show. I was learning how to do all these things. And a lot of times I had some types of difficulties. So when Abby called me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like the audio's gone. We have no sound. We have something's wrong. So she calls me. She just realizes that I have an 8 o'clock appointment to speak to the high school. And so I pick up the phone, and obviously she jumps on the phone and we have our dialogue. So Abby, thanks for coming to the rescue. Thanks for making the call and making that happen. So Abby ends up grabbing all the books, and we took treats to this entrepreneurial class in Angola High School. And she's great. So she takes off during the show, and she's got all my stuff, and she's there, and she's waiting on me. And I pull in, and we make it in the nick of time. Everybody's happy. They escort us down to the room. So all's fun and games on this whole thing, and it's just really interesting. So we get in there, the class is excited to see me. Of course, I think they love seeing the donuts, and they like seeing everything that's going on in that regards. But long story short, it was really a good experience. But what I want to tell you about the experience, I want to tell you about kind of what happened and what went on in there. Just this one funny experience before we get into scale to fail, don't fail to scale. Is that as I went into the room, everything was great. We got ready. We started, and I started to talk about believe, prepare, attack, the 3 verbs that every entrepreneur needs to know. But before we even got to that, we talked about, what does entrepreneur mean? Can you even spell this stinking word entrepreneur? That's a hard word to spell, right? So we get through all that, and we get ready to go. And I do believe, prepare, attack. I talk about the 3 principles. You have to know what you want. You have to create a plan. You have to execute it. All of you Wired Differently followers out there know the playbook, right? But I'm giving it to them. And these kids are enamored because they don't understand the prefrontal cortex. They don't know the subconscious. It's just not something that gets taught in the schools. I really believe lives were changed yesterday in this class. But what I want to talk to you about this morning really quick is one funny story that I had. And so as I'm moving through this and we start talking about entrepreneurship and what do you want to do? And a lot of these kids have ideas and plans of businesses that they want to do over time. And the teacher says, ask some of these kids what they want to do. So we get done through, do you know what you want? And I said, okay, so I'm going to pick on 3 or 4 of you out there, and I'm going to say, do you really know what you want? Because if you know what you want, you're halfway there, man. We can really start to rock this thing and make something happen. I mean, that's how it works. You have to know what you want. Number one, you have to know what you want. Number two, you got to create a plan. And number three, you got to execute. And then you become or aspire to be a successionaire. You know, everyone's saying, amen. We got it. We hear that all the time. So I tell these kids, now here's the thing where I set them up is that there's 3 kids. You know, there's roughly, I don't know, a third of the class was sophomores. Very few juniors. And then there was quite a few seniors. And so it was a mixed smattering and lots of girls. I would say easy 50-50. It was nice to see all the entrepreneur minds in there. These kids were great, man. I mean, I would tell you this, that America is in really a good place from what I saw in this class. These kids really had this entrepreneur mindset. Most of them did. And most of them had a lot of encouraging things even to say to me. They studied up on me. The teacher did a great job. But so what I want to tell you is, so I start to kind of look at the room when I look around, and this is just cracks me up. So, and I, honestly, it's a spiritual thing, and they know the book. I hand the book out, Your Will Be Done. And I'm in a high school. I'm in a venue where we just talked about Coach Joe Kennedy, who got kicked out for praying and doing things in schools. And so, you know, you're a little bit, you know, I got to tell you, you're a little set back when you go into these public schools. Now, I mean, I started thinking, oh, you know, man, can I say God? We didn't have a contract. We didn't have anything like we normally do. Abby and I, when we go do speaking engagements, we literally have to have a contract now. And in my contract for speaking, it says, I will be able to say the word God. Yeah, it's come to that. And if they don't sign the contract, you know, I don't take the speaking job. And, you know, it's funny how many people really balk at, you know, you're really putting this in your contract. You know, why is that so important? Well, I mean, that's why we're here, right? That's what this book's about, right? Your will be done. And I say right here, you may not need God in your life to be successful in this world, but I'm successful in this world because God is my life. And so I'm handing this book out to everybody in the classroom. And so it's clear that God is in the room, right? It's like, and I didn't think about it. So I'm literally kind of setting you up for the story because I think you're going to like the story. And so all these kids are in there. I hand out this somewhat biblical book, a God-driven book about your will be done. And I'm speaking on your will be done. I'm speaking about how to get what you want. I'm pontificating. I'm letting it rip, potato chip. You know what we do, and the kids are digging it. It's all fun. Thank you for all the followers jumping on here. So here's the deal. And so I'm a little nervous about your will be done. And I just literally let the God word fly. I'm like, you know, your will be done. This book is triangulating your will and God's will. And when we triangulate those two and we put your will in with God's will, then we got something now, don't we? In the classroom kind of looked at me, and we moved through the prefrontal cortex. We moved through how God drives your subconscious if you let him, right? And so all this is great stuff, right? And so get to the point, Todd, right? I know if my wife's listening, she goes, you ramble on. But I got to set it up, man. Come on now. So here's the thing. So all these students, let me call it 30 students, 15 girls and 15 boys. And I said, okay, so you're all entrepreneurs. Tell me one thing that you really, really, really want, because I'm going to help you get it. That's what we're talking about here. And one little girl, young lady, she's young, she's, I don't know, 17, raises her hand up and rocks me, just shocks me. You got to understand, this is high school. This is like peer pressure capital of the world, right? Like who is willing to get out there in high school and say anything, let alone anything that would not make you unpopular or popular? I mean, who really, you know, in high school, you're just like, oh, I don't want someone to judge me. I remember those days. I didn't want to go back. Matter of fact, it gave me chills going back to high school. And she says, she looks at me and she raises her hand, Mr. Saylor. And she's like ready to go, man. I mean, everyone else is kind of sedated. And she's ready to go. Mr. Saylor. I said, yes, tell me what you want. And she looks right at me and she says, I want to get married and have a family of 4 children. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I literally couldn't believe it. And I don't know if it's sad that I couldn't believe it because it was so unexpected, or it was sad because I was like so shocked that, a female would raise her hand and say, I want to get married and have children, and that's what I want most in this world. I was almost emotional because, I was ready I'm going to build a Fortune 500 company. I'm going to have a big house. I'm going to build my own brand. I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to be an influencer. I'm going to be a TikTok famous. I mean, I was ready for all of this. And this beautiful child says, I want to grow up and I want to be a wife and I want to have 4 children right out of the gate. I mean, I was shocked. And I praised her. I said, listen, that's great. You know what you want. And what I want you to understand, young lady, is I want you to understand you are detailed. You need to be detailed about what you want. I'm shocked. I'm rolling with it. And here's the thing. The classroom didn't laugh. The classroom didn't say a word. They were just like, yeah, like we know her. Like that's her goal. She's talked about it before. And so I said, anybody else? And another young lady raises her hand, Mr. Saylor, Mr. Saylor. And I said, yes, what do you really want? And she looks right at me and she said, I want to spread the gospel. I mean, I got to tell you, in this day and age, with the TV stuff that we watch and the pressures of the woke world and all the things that we can or can't say in school, equality and all, I mean, all this, this was just like, I was so pleased to see these brave ladies say exactly what they wanted in this world, which to me is almost counterculture to what's going on in this world. And they were brave enough to say it. And beyond that, the rest of the class never even batted an eye. And beyond that, I was empowered to actually say the word God. I was empowered to actually talk about some things in my book that were God-driven. And the school allowed that process to happen in a very neutral, fair, and well-being point. Matter of fact, I actually got, here's some pictures. Here's me working on the whiteboard, and I'm doing prefrontal cortex. I'm doing subconscious right there, and I'm drawing the brain. And here we are in the classroom, and there's some of the young ladies right there that were sharing what they wanted to do, what they wanted in life. It was awesome. It was a great time. Everyone had fun. And here is some of the young men. I mean, if you look real close, you can see one of those guys has a Tom's Donuts sweatshirt on, and he was probably my favorite guy in there because of his attire. But that's a big, you know me, I love whiteboards. That's one of the biggest whiteboards I've ever had. This is the classroom. We loved it, man. These kids were so engaged. It was just such a great time. Here we are talking about, there it is, believe, prepare, attack. And if you can read some of the other scribbling, we were talking about the prefrontal cortex, the subconscious. What do you really want in life? Here's the classroom some more. The kids were doing a little studies. We put them together. We put them to work. And, this is where me getting down or letting it rip, potato chip here. And this young lady was remarkable. Let me see. She has designed her own brand already, and she's showing me how to actually spell the name of her brand. What a great situation there. This situation, I think I was getting ready to hand out donuts, and here we go. I think the young man made me laugh because I got to tell you the last story here. And there's me pointing at somebody to actually pick on them, and here's me making something happen here. I don't know what that was. So anyways, we got to the first question is like, what do you want? And she says, I want to be married and I want to have 4 children. And then the second question, she raises her hand. She says, like, high in the sky. She says, I want to share the gospel. And then I said, okay, as I'm rocking with all this, I asked the third person who's sitting right in front of me, I said, what do you want to create, sir? And he raises his hand. He goes, yes, Mr. Saylor, I tell you what I want. I want to create a color-coded condom that shares STD types when you put it on to save the world. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, I'm like, and the whole class, I mean, they looked at me in silence, and then they all just started breaking out laughing. I was like, yeah. I'm like, did you just say condom? Did you just say STD? Did you just say it's going to change colors if you have some type of STD? It's a little like, and then my mind goes to like, how's that going to work at night? Is it going to glow in the dark? Is an alarm going to go off? I don't know. The class had a blast with it. And I thought for a moment they were pranking me, but they weren't. This kid, I mean, you think about it, it's brilliant. So anyways, I just wanted to share that story with you because these kids are great. Our future is in hand and things are really, really good. I wanted to share that with you. One little quick thing I wanted to show you here is what we've got going on. And I wanted to share this ad I've got running on the Facebook right now. And check this bad boy.
Stop scrolling for a moment. Listen, did you realize that 20% of all businesses fail in the first 2 years? 45% of all businesses fail in the first 5 years. 65% of all businesses fail in the first 10 years. I need you to think about that. What year are you in? Let me give you some more numbers. 31 million net worth. 30 years of being in business, owning and operating 16 entities right now, and 38 years of being married. Now that is a successful run. That's what I want to talk to you about. Business success systems. My business, Wired Differently for Profits. I'm going to find you as much as $100,000 in profit. I'm going to get you there, but I want you to understand you got to get to my free virtual event. It's coming up. I want you there. I want you there for free. I want you to hang out, just me and you on a virtual event.
All right, there you go. Isn't that cool? I want to thank Chris for putting that together. I want to thank our social media team for all the things we've got going on here. Lots of fun. So we have a virtual event coming up October 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It's a free event. That means anybody can get on it. It's 3 days, 2 hours a day. It's going to be a blast, and we're going to talk about business systems. We're going to talk about those 3 days. We're going to break it down into a seminar, and we're going to have some really, really great offerings for you in that regard. So go to Facebook. Click on that ad if you find it, and you can sign up, and for free, you're going to be there. We're going to put you in the whole Zoom call, and the whole thing's going to be a blast. So we got that going on. So let's get down to the order of business today. I got to tell you, I wanted to talk to you about scaling your life, scaling your business, and we got about 15 minutes of teaching here. The rest of this week, I was just going to kind of work my way out and scaling. And so one of the things we talked about yesterday was to remember why we are in business. Why are we in business, right? Why are we in business? And what is the purpose of the business? So I want to just rehash that real quick. The purpose of the business is to grow and maintain a client base. So the purpose, there's two things in our business that we need to talk about. We need to talk about what is the purpose of all businesses, and then what is the purpose of all CEOs, right? The purpose of all businesses and the purpose of all CEOs. So the purpose of all businesses at my position is to grow and maintain clients. What it is not purposefully meant to do is, more importantly, I think what I want to share with you right now is not meant to just maximize profits. I think if we just look at maximizing profits, we take our eye off the ball and we make the purpose of the CEO very, very difficult, because the purpose of the CEO is to secure the company for eternity, if you will. And we liken that to God's word and how God is there for us forever. So we want an evergreen mindset for the CEO. His job is to make the company last forever, right? His job is to make the company go the distance. And if the CEO is confused and he has a company that has a purpose of maximizing profits, it compromises his ability to make the company last forever. And so that's why we want to make sure that your purpose as a CEO, an owner, a leader of any capacity is in line with the purpose of your business. And so if you know what the purpose of your business is, then it's going to be very, very easy for you to understand the purpose of you as a CEO. So once we have those things, or the leader or the owner or any of that nature, once as a human being, right? The purpose of raising my family. Let's think about this for a moment. This is not just business. I'm going to grow you personally, spiritually, and I'm going to grow you profitably. But think about it. Me as a leader of my family, right? The purpose of my family is to grow with grandbabies and grow in wealth and prosperity and to grow and maintain those things through life, right? But my job as the leader of my family is to make sure that they exist forever, that they have the vehicles to move through forever, that they're healthy forever, right? Forever meaning in this lifetime, and forever meaning that I hope they understand the gospel through my teachings, because eternity is forever, right? And so the personal growth and the spiritual growth and the business growth are aligning in this regard. They're going to do the same thing in scaling. So just think about that in your own personal life. I think you need to understand that when I talk to you about being a leader in your business, it's the same leadership concepts that we need to have in our personal lives. I mean, there's no difference. I really need you to be aligned in that regard. So we understand the business purpose. Now we understand the CEO or the leadership purpose. Now let's talk about scaling. Now scaling. Don't fail to scale. Don't fail to scale. And I want you to understand that every business must scale to be successful. And yesterday we had a lot of fun with my good friend Ryan, because he was my worst customer ever. He was my worst customer ever, but taught me the best lesson ever. Is that we scale up and we scale down. Scaling is something that we need to understand, that is not just always to grow or scale to a higher level. Scaling sometimes means that we have to scale where we are. Sometimes we get ahead of ourselves and we're not able to keep up with the volume, or we're not able to keep up with the expenses. And so what we have to do is we have to adjust our coordinates. We have to adjust and we have to scale for where we are. And we also have to scale for where we want to go. And so the point I was saying to some people is that some people just want to own a job. And I don't want to say I look down on it, but it's just not my mindset. I really want every business to work for the business owner, because I think that's why we're in business. But there are people out there, there are personality types that I think I have to open up my mind a little bit to more, that they want to just own a job, right? They want to have a job that they go into, that they have control of, and they don't want to scale up. They don't want to grow to be, AT&T or Microsoft or Apple or somebody in that regards. They just want their own dominion. But those people also need to scale as well. And they need to scale as well, because I still think that they want to grow in profits. They want to grow in revenue. They want to grow in some regards so that they can grow in their lifestyle. But it's not maybe to grow in an organizational phase. It's not be able to grow from 2 employees to 50 employees. Maybe they want to stay around 3 employees. And so how does a company like that scale? Well, they scale down, or they scale across. They scale and figure out ways to make more money within the systems that they have by scaling to efficiencies, like software that does more so they can do more with the manpower that they have already. Or they find out to do a joint venture with somebody outside of them that can bring them other types of tools that can do some things of that nature. Or they go out and they outsource some of the services so they don't have to do all of the services, but they can have a revenue from those services. So they're scaling with their personal manpower, right? They're scaling with their small manpower, and they're allowing themselves to actually grow or do more profits by actually outsourcing some of these things to other organizations so that they can actually stay small in their organizational set. So the things I want to talk to you about here real quick is, what is scaling? So scaling traditionally is, I got the term up here, growing and expanding a business while maintaining or increasing efficiencies and profits. So what I would say in this whole overall scheme is that not necessarily, so someone who wants to scale doesn't have to grow in employee size, but they can grow in revenue size, and they can grow in client size, but they don't have to necessarily always grow in operational size for some of you there that want to actually stay small. But traditionally, you're growing in some regards, and you're expanding a business while maintaining or increasing efficiencies and profitability. So that is the whole scaling option and the things that we want to talk about. It involves increasing the company's operations and customer base and revenue. So the next thing I want to ask you, so we kind of talked about that yesterday. I want to make sure you bring up to speed today. And today, what I want to talk to you about is what is important to scale, right? Why is it important to scale? So I want you to understand the reason it's important to scale, and here's some of the top things that makes it important to scale. One, I want you to take advantage of new opportunities. As a business owner, I want you to understand that we're constantly searching, we're constantly roaming, right? As human beings, we need to be in this wide different world. We're constantly taking advantage of new opportunities. We can't rest inside of just our secret sauce that happened 10 years ago or 5 years ago. We have to be taking advantage of new opportunities. So what are you doing right now in your own personal life and in your own business seeking new opportunities? Are you looking for new opportunities? Are you actively on the search? Are you looking for new opportunities? Right? It's important. Why? It's important because we scale to new opportunities. We have to have new opportunities on the horizon, or someone's going to pass us, or someone's going to go around us, or someone's going to catch up, and we're going to be left behind in the dust. So we need to be understanding that scaling is built around this idea of looking for new opportunities. So we have to scale to new opportunities. Demands. In this world right now, we have certain industries that just cannot keep up demands. So when demands decrease, we must learn to scale, because we can't keep doing things the same way that we're doing them when we have more stuff coming through the door. We have several businesses, and Payserve is one where demand has really, really increased over the last 8 years. And we realize that the demand is outpacing our ability to keep up with it with our current employee base. And more importantly, our current operational or onboarding model. So we had to learn how to scale because of demand, right? Now, the next thing, increasing market share. When we start to increase market share, we need to understand that we've got to scale to the increasing market share. These are things why it's important to scale. Market share, market share, market share. As market share increases, new customers come, opportunities arise, and demands are coming at us, right? We've got to learn to look for those things, and we've got to get ahead of that increasing market share. We cannot not scale. Because what happens if we don't scale, meaning like bringing cost in alignment, bringing employees into alignment, bringing operational flows into alignment. If we don't do those things, we're going to be in a very, very bad place. So we have to continue to scale our organization for not exactly where we are, but where we're going to be, right? And another important reason to scale is if we scale, then we can also improve our buying power, which will hinge higher profits. So as we grow, as we do things and we look at things objectively, not only in advantage of new opportunities and we meet demands, we increase market share, or we can improve our buying power, which will help us actually scale. So scaling requires all of these things kind of at once. But as an owner, as a leader, as a business person, small or large, you need to understand that you constantly should be scaling your organization, which means right sizing it for where you're going. A lot of us just kind of wait until the shoe drops, and then we have to kind of figure out what we're going to do. And sometimes that's just too late. Number 3. Scaling. I want to give you some examples of scalings, right? So a scaling situation would be like if you have an organization and you want to go out and you want to take on a new marketplace, a new region. So you say, I want to take on New York. I did that in 15 years ago. I said, I wanted to take on New York. And so I looked at my organization and I said, okay, this is New York. This is how many clients I think we're going to get. We've got this broker here. We got that broker here. They're going to bring this. Now, how are we going to be able to support that? And more importantly, once that revenue comes in, how is that going to give us the advantages we need to do, not only buying power and coverage power, service powers. And we want to make sure that the stuff that we bring in is going to make our overall service more advantageous to the clients that we already have. If not, then we're not scaling. So meaning that if you go out and you grab new clients and you bring them into the old fold and they corrupt the old fold, then you have not scaled. You have actually corrupted your organization. You didn't think about how to right size it or create the situation that would allow you to actually grow the whole organization. So scaling is this idea of growing in that regards. Another example would be regions, diversifying. If you want to diversify is a good one. If you want to go into another market, if you want to go into another product line, what will that product line look like, and how will that affect the other products that you have? Will it improve the other products, or will it fight against the other products? Will scaling allow you to, most people, when they go into other product lines, they're doing it to complement the product lines that they already have, and then they create more buying power in that regards, or they create more efficiencies internally with some of the same people that have time that they're already doing one thing, so they can do another thing. And that's a great way of scaling, because once you're already in the process, once you're already in the program, already have the light bill, you already have the same accounting team, you got the same marketing team. Now you're just talking about a few things out there in the operational field to actually create this product that has synergy with what you already have already. So that's a great way to scale. That's a great way, because if someone else wanted to start a whole new product line of what you're about ready to add from scratch, they're going to need a whole new light bill. They're going to need a whole new CEO. They're going to need a whole new marketing budget. They're going to need a whole new building. They're going to need rent. They're going to need all new computers. You're up and running, and you can scale out in that regards. You can create something for a lot less money, add it on, and now improve your efficiencies and actually be able to produce that product for substantially less than the next player. So those are examples of scaling. Let's see what else I had up here. Other ways to scale or to grow is through, here's what I like, organic growth or inorganic growth. I want to share that with you, inorganic growth or organic growth. So we're going to actually punt. I'm teaching so much today that I'm past my time, and I want to talk to you about the rest of this tomorrow. I'm flying out. So here's what I'm going to just close this with. Inorganic and organic scaling. I want you to think about this. Inorganic, organic scaling. Organic scaling is a beautiful thing because it's just happening through your normal growth process. Organic scaling is this thing, this ability for you to actually grow because you're just good at what you do. You're just good. Like, for instance, we've become better and better on the show. We've become over time, we've become better and better over the show. We went from a few followers to several followers down to a lot of followers. Organically, we have just grown. I didn't go out and buy another podcast station. I didn't go buy another show. I didn't jump on someone else's show. We just have organically grown on this show over the last year and a half. What are inorganic growth or inorganic scaling is this idea of going out there and acquiring, buying customers, buying employees. Not a bad way to do it. That's how they do it in Wall Street. They go out and raise a lot of money, and they go out and buy one company that does one thing, and they go out and raise their own money and buy another company that does another thing, and they put them together, and then they push out a lot of those employees, and then they take the synergies of the products, and all the profits fall to the bottom line, and they've inorganically scaled this product so that it's much more efficient than many of them out there in the face. Well, listen, we had a fun start. We talked about scaling. I want you to scale your life. I want you to talk about scaling your life. And one of the scriptures I want to talk to you about today was Matthew 5:3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the poor in spirit. The poor in spirit are the people out here in the Beatitudes that are very, very humble. They've learned to scale in God's word. They've learned to scale in God's kingdom. They've learned how to scale their life. Blessed are the poor in spirit because they are so humble that they've realized that you can't scale God. There's no scaling God. As it says in Matthew 5, the first beatitude is blessed are the poor in the spirit. I think about the humble beggar at the corner of Sarasota and 8th. He's there every day. No job, no future, poor. The beggar. But he's so humble that he's there every day. And he knows that he can only rely on what happens in his can every morning. Can you spare $1? Can you spare $10? That's the only way I can reckon the beatitude. Number one is that those that are blessed are poor in the spirit. I need us poor in the spirit and to realize that God has scaled all of this for us. There's no more scaling to do. There's no more we can do. He's done it all for us. We can't become any better than we are when all that we do is given and humbled ourselves to him. So that's the beatitude. That's the scaling tie-in I wanted to put together for you guys today. You can't scale God. He's already done it for us. Lean on him. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about organic and inorganic scaling, challenges of scaling, and I want to give you some examples of how you can do it in your own organization. Well, listen, everybody, good morning. Have a great day. I cannot believe I ran 5 minutes over. I got to apologize. Listen, be, do, and think differently. How are we going to scale our life and how are we going to scale our businesses? Let's get after it. It's online, dog.